Have you had a teacher get upset after they read what you wrote in an observation or in an evaluation? This has happened to most of us, or maybe all of us. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the most common reasons I think this happens and share some ideas for how we can try to ensure that this doesn't happen more often than necessary. Welcome to my channel for leaders who want to lead with love and love to lead. My name is madden-fuoco, and in my 15 years evaluating teachers, I've seen so much damage caused through the teacher evaluation process, but I also believe that it's a process that holds so much potential for us as teacher evaluators to really support teachers' growth so that they can support students' growth. So you might be thinking, isn't it okay for teachers to get upset about what we wrote? And if a teacher's struggling in their class and students aren't learning at high levels, then the teacher should be upset. But they should be upset because students aren't learning. What I'm talking about in this video is when students are learning in a teacher's class and you share some ways that the teacher can improve, but they get upset by what you write. So confession time. I started evaluating teachers in 2006. And in 2012, Massachusetts went from a paper-based system to an online system. And I remember my husband teasing me at the time saying that he didn't think there was anyone who was as excited as I was about this transition. And I remember in 2012 when this first happened, I would go into teachers' classrooms with my laptop and I'd type up feedback, and I'd often try to release the feedback before I even left the teacher's classroom. It's really embarrassing to talk about this now because in the years since then, I've learned so much about how to support teachers' growth, and I really believe that the heart of supporting a teacher is in the post-observation conversation. So now I never enter feedback into the online platform until I've talked with the teacher first. And I actually don't even usually go into a classroom with my laptop anymore. I most often go in with a notebook and a couple of pens. And I also find that I can be more present when I just have paper and a pen because I find that my laptop can be distracting. But the reason I'm telling you this story is I think this is the #1 reason that teachers get upset when they read what we wrote. It's because we didn't talk with them first. And we know that if we don't talk with a teacher first and we just enter the feedback, we can be making assumptions, and sometimes our assumptions are wrong. So I'll give you a classic example. We might go into a class and a student might have their head down on their desk and they might be sleeping. And we could understandably interpret that as the teacher having low expectations for the student. But what we might not know is maybe the teacher spoke with the child's parent earlier that morning, and maybe the child hadn't slept the night before. But if we just put that feedback into writing, we would understand why the teacher would be upset. So the conversation is really where the coaching happens, but it's also a really important way for us to check our assumptions before we put feedback into writing. So maybe this first most common reason doesn't apply to you because you always talk with a teacher first before you put feedback into writing. So the second most common reason I see teachers get upset by something we wrote is that we put something into writing that we didn't talk with the teacher about. So the easiest way to solve this is to make sure that everything you put into writing is something you discussed during the post-observation conversation. And the third reason I think teachers sometimes get upset by what we write is maybe we characterize it more negatively in writing than we did when we were talking with the person. And I think this can happen because we're trying to be nice when we're in conversation with the person, and so we might not say it as directly as we end up putting it into writing. So I have a trick that I think really can help with this. And what I do is instead of writing the negative thing that happened in the class, I instead write, the teacher is working too. So I'd write, Ms. Madden-Fuoco is working to whatever they're working to do to address the negative thing that had happened in the class. And as long as the teacher actually agreed with the feedback and is working to do that, then it's true to frame it this way. And I think what's helpful about it is it's phrasing it in a way that is not as focused on the past, but more focused on what the teacher is doing to address the concern. So I created another video about Brené Brown's advice that clear is kind and unclear is unkind. So I encourage you to share feedback when you're talking with the teacher, to check your assumptions, and to do it in as kind but clear a way as possible. And I think if we try to write the feedback up as what the teacher is working to do, I think it still achieves both our goals of putting the feedback into writing. One is to be really clear about what the person needs to do to improve, but the other is to build trust with the teacher so that we can continue supporting the teacher's growth. So comment below. I'd love to hear if one of these ideas will help you in your work evaluating teachers. So if you're as excited about the potential in the teacher evaluation process as I am, make sure to check out my other videos and click subscribe so that you stay informed about future videos I create. And subscribing also helps people find out about my channel. If you know any leaders who you think would enjoy the content in this video, please share it with them, because my belief is that if we support leaders' growth, they can support teachers' growth, who can then support our students' growth. And remember, if you lead with love, you will love to lead.